Okay, let's get started off with some news. Jim Harbaugh in the last week signed a 5-year extension for Michigan. And just to kind of recap a little bit of what the last month or so has gone, or what it's been like for Jim Harbaugh. So it was widely speculated that he was after an NFL job, um, and reported that the Vikings wanted to interview him. And I guess he thought he was getting the job. He thought the interview was one of those just formality type things, and basically told all his assistants and all his players and all the people at Michigan that he's leaving and he's gone. Went to the interview at Minnesota, basically treated it like a formality. Apparently, even had some demands and stuff. And the Vikings decided that this was not what they wanted, because they were actually viewing him as just one of the options. And so when I think kind of the way he approached the interview sort of hurt his chances at the job. So he was not offered the job by the Vikings. Kind of came crawling back to Michigan a little bit on his hands and knees, begging. And it was, I mean, it makes sense for both parties. He's still their head coach moving forward. This new extension, it's a little over $7 million a year for him for 5 years. And I guess maybe the main thing that people noticed about it is, of course, the buyout, because there is people that think that he will always have interest in an NFL job. Year one, his buyout is $3 million, and it drops every year after that, down under $1 million by year four. Anything to take away from all of this? I know that was for any part of it, from the flirting with the NFL or anything. What are your thoughts on this whole entire situation?
I think it almost helps him in some ways. Like on the recruiting trail, I think Harbaugh has he's always been viewed as an NFL guy, and like this just kind of keeps. Yeah, I'm not. It just kind of keeps him in like with NFL vibes, I guess. Like he's able to like pitch it like, hey, like I'm here, I'm a college coach, but like I know how to put people in the league. Like I can, like I have experience, and I was a really really good NFL coach, which he was. I think the Vikings missed out on a good coach. Like I think he's better than, and I know we're not an NFL pod or anything, but like he was their best. I think they missed out like by not getting him. I think he's better than O'Connell will end up being. I think Harbaugh has succeeded at every place he's been at. Like he's like Brian Kelly. Like they're just really good at football. So huge for Michigan. That's really big for Michigan to get him back. I think recruiting will almost pick up a little bit. Like I think he's locked in now, and I think recruiting will pick up for him. I think he can do even a slightly better job there. I'm a Harbaugh guy. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like even before this year, I was a Harbaugh fan. Me and you have argued about this many times. I always was kind of on the bandwagon for Harbaugh. I think this just reinforces what I think I already knew. Like I'm a fan of his, and I believe he'll be really really good there.
So another thing, there were also some insider reports. I don't know what else I should share, just from premium information I've heard. But there was talk that some of the Michigan assistant coaches were kind of hurt by, I guess, everything that went on. And he did lose Josh Gaddis, who left for the Miami offensive coordinator job.
Yep.
Any worry on that side of it, just as far as the staff side of things?
No, not really. Not for me. Like I think with coaches, if you can prove yourself to take an assistant coach and have him employ him for a couple of years, and then he gets to go get another really really elite job. Like Gaddis won the award for top assistant of the year last year. Like was he deserving? Maybe not, but he won the award. That means something to other assistants. He's going to be able to go and get his pick of offensive mind, or even other assistants like down line, like for smaller positions. I think seeing that, like if you're an up and coming coach and you have an opportunity to go, like this guy has NFL credentials and his assistants do well, like his assistants do very well. I'm for that. Like I'm a fan of that. So I think, he did lose. Losing Gaddis hurts. I understand that. I think he will be just fine at picking up and going from there. I think he'll be able to attract some talented coaches.
Okay, yeah. I don't totally agree with everything you're saying, but
Well, you've never liked Harbaugh though. Like let's be honest.
Sure.
How much of this is just you being a Notre Dame fan?
No, no. Listen, there's people out there that are saying like, oh, like this is just opening everything up for negative recruiting for every situation. The recruiting's going to
Who?
tank.
Who's saying that? Who's saying that?
So there's people saying it online, mostly fans. I'm saying I don't agree with those people. I also don't agree that this actually helps. Like I think it. I also don't agree that it necessarily hurts a lot. Like
It
maybe
doesn't hurt at all. It doesn't hurt at
my
all.
hot take, I guess, is that there's very little of a hot take here. like
No,
like I
that's
don't
me
think
too. I'm on the same
I
place.
don't think it moves the I don't think it helps. I think if it changes anything, it probably hurts a little bit just because it does look like maybe he's got one foot out of the door. And I think teams will negatively recruit against that. I don't know that it'll be very effective. Like I don't think a whole lot changes.
Okay, so
is my opinion.
we're almost both in the middle. I'm just on one side. Like I think it helps him a little bit. You think it hurts him a little bit.
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
That's
Like
fair?
neither one of us thinks it's a huge difference, but I think it probably will have a slight negative impact.
Okay, how about this? Did Harbaugh's performance this past year or Michigan's performance, did that change your mind on Harbaugh at all?
Maybe a little. I've always thought that he's a top 20 coach. And
Yes.
Agreed. I think maybe I don't know. I think maybe you would in past years have ranked him in the 10 to 12 range and now would have been more in like the 15 to 20 range. And that doesn't sound like a big difference, and it's really probably not. I don't know. Like I do think that we just saw Michigan's ceiling under Harbaugh. Like I don't think
Well, I mean, it's a playoff. Like if your ceiling is the playoff, like that's still like that puts you literally at 4. Like you
Sure.
no lower than 4 as a coach or as a program. So like I think he has top 5 potential as a coach.
Sure. Here's a good question. Do you think that they will make another playoff with Harbaugh as their head coach?
Yes. Yes, I think so. I think most, especially like a big program like Michigan, once a program makes it, it seems almost inevitable that they make it again. Now we do have some flukes, will Cincinnati make it again? Probably not. Like Washington, probably not. But like Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, these programs, Oklahoma, these programs made it multiple times, and like they're big name programs with money. I think they just kind of they get a taste of it and kind of they just kind of they push all in even more, and like I think that will happen at Michigan. I think I'm not saying he'll go again this year, but like winning the Big Ten and going to a playoff is a hugely successful year. You beat Ohio State, that's the best season they've had in a long time. So like will they be that good again in the next 3 years? Maybe not, but can they make a playoff in the next 3 years? Yeah, probably.
Okay, yeah. And I guess I should have maybe clarified the question too, because we do have 4 more years of the playoff as it currently stands. That's, I guess, another piece of news. So they kind of pushed off expansion past 2025.
Thank goodness.
And so I guess if I was trying to figure out maybe if Michigan makes one of the next 4 playoffs, like obviously we think, Michigan will make the playoff once it inevitably expands. Like they will absolutely do that.
Yeah, right.
But
when
as
it
far
goes
as
to like 15 teams, 16 teams,
whatever. But as far as when it's a 14 playoff in the next 4 years, I think I would be a slight bet against them making it again. Wouldn't be shocked if they did. Like I think it's 50-50, but maybe more like 40-60.
I guess maybe just to wrap up the Harbaugh stuff, I think for those of us that were on his side or in his corner, this was just confirmation of what we thought all the time. Like this was what I thought. This is what I thought he was. Like I thought that's what Harbaugh was, and and the program that really stood in his way from having done this before was Ohio State. Like if Urban's not at Ohio State, does he get? Maybe he's done this 3 times already. Maybe he has. Maybe he has 3 Big Ten championships. But and can Ryan Day continue to uphold that? Like we'll see. Like that's just that remains to be seen. But like this was really big for those of us that really thought he had this in him.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I should clarify why I'm a little down on it. It's just I feel like one of the main things that we often see when a school kind of takes that next leap is it affects then the recruiting, and that's what really propels Georgia, for example, to all
Yeah.
of a sudden being a top 5 team on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen that from Michigan. They signed a top 10 class this last year based a lot on numbers. Like
Yeah.
the blue chip ratio for them, I want to say it was just under 50% or right around 50%. And the class of 23 is a very important class, I would say, for Michigan. Because if they're still in that number 10 range, which is where they've been, like I don't know that we're going to see any higher of a ceiling for them going forward. But hey, like it's possible. Like it's kind of okay. So I guess Ohio State is king in the Midwest. It feels like Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame are all chasing. And if I look at recruiting, I feel like Notre Dame is the best set up to close that gap with Ohio State in the Midwest. I'm not sure that I'm seeing Michigan and Penn State do that. Like I'm just, and maybe not close the gap, but at least narrow it is kind of I guess what I'm going for. Like I think of those three that are chasing Ohio State right now, I think Notre Dame is the best setup for the next 3-4 years.
And I guess I would argue that, let's at least take the guy that's beaten Notre Dame, like I guess that would be my counter argument. Or sorry, beaten Ohio State. My bad.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was a little confused with what you meant.
Yeah.
All right.